Hello and welcome back to my channel. Students, as you know, we are doing a problem series, and based on this, we are learning organic chemistry. In this process, currently, we are focusing on a very important topic, stereoisomerism. So, let us try to see question number 34. In this question, as you can see on your screen, I have mentioned a compound X. The compound X I have mentioned is in three-dimensional formula, three-dimensional wedge dash projection formula. So I have given the three-dimensional arrangement as you can see on your screen. So this compound X has got a structure, it has got a configuration which the question is portraying. Now, based on these informations, you have to tell which amongst these options is or are correct. Now, before we have proceeded to judge about the options, let us try to study the structure in a more detailed manner, and in this course we will draw its Fisher projection as well. Now, once you try to draw the Fisher's projection of this three-dimensional formula, you uh, assess that this compound firstly has got two chiral centers. Now, if you try to see this particular carbon, this is attached with four different groups. One, two, three, four. All the four are different, therefore it's a chiral center, and this chiral center I have mentioned it in the Fisher's formula in this intersection of the two lines, two perpendicular lines, as you know the culture of Fisher's projection. Again, you find that this carbon, one position ahead, is again a chiral center because it is attached with four different groups as you can see on your screen. And this particular carbon is portrayed using this particular intersection in the Fisher's projection. So, I have basically created the Fisher's projection, and you should not forget the top group, as you can see, is basically a cis geometry, because the two groups you can see on the same side, and there are two hydrogens on the same side. So on the top there is a double bond which has a cis geometry, and the bottom, you understand, is again a point where the geometrical isomerism can be created, and here you can see the same group's hydrogen are on the opposite side, therefore it is a trans geometry. So altogether, if you try to assess this compound, it has got the geometrical isomerism also. There is a possibility of geometrical arrangements as well as optical arrangements through the chiral carbons. Now, once we have uh, drawn the Fisher's projection, let us try to judge whether the compound is chiral or not. And the best way to do so is to draw its mirror image. So I have taken the compound X given in our question, I have taken its Fisher's projection, and I have drawn its mirror image using a mirror. And once we have drawn the two, you will easily recognize that these two figures, these two Fisher's projections, are non-superimposable on each other. They are not going to superimpose on each other. You can try it very easily. And once you have decided this, then you should say that these two are enantiomers of each other. These two are independently, both are chiral compounds, If one rotates PPL clockwise, plane polarized light clockwise, the other will rotate anti-clockwise. So from this discussion, we have come to a very major conclusion that the given compound is optically active in nature. The first option is correct. Once I say that the compound is non superimposable on its mirror image, then it becomes sure that it will rotate plane polarized light. Therefore, it has action towards PPL. Therefore, it must be optically active in nature. Now, coming on to the option number B, let us try to see what it speaks about. It says that the given structure can give rise to 12 stereoisomers. Now, this is very important. The option is not about the three-dimensional configuration. The option is not about the three-dimensional arrangement. The option is about the connectivity of the atoms with each other. It is based on structure, and it is asking that the compound X has got a structure, it has got a connectivity between the atoms. Based on that structure, how many stereoisomers are possible? So, we will take the structure of the compound X and will try to assess, will try to project out how many different stereoisomers are possible. Now, if we come to know how to manage this, let us try to first figure out which are the places where we can give rise to stereoisomerism. So once you come on this issue, you find that there are double bonds, one double bond, two double bond. Here you can get a possibility of cis, you can get a possibility of trans. Here also you can get a possibility of cis and possibility of trans. So two possibilities here, two possibilities here. You see, this is a chiral carbon, and the chiral carbon can give rise to two different three-dimensional configuration. In terms of its name, conventional name, you can call one configuration as R and the another as S. Similarly, this chiral center can also give rise to two different configurations. One you can call as R and the another you can call as S. So here also there are two possibilities. Here also there are two possibilities. So once you realize that there are four positions which can give rise to two possibilities each. So maximum number of stereoisomers which you can obtain is 2 into 2 into 2 into 2, that is 16. This is the maximum number. Student, you should understand, once we say maximum number, then it means that although the maximum is 16, it means that you won't go beyond 16. But practically, will you get 16? Is under scanner. You have to judge, you have to find. Because once you get some symmetry, once you get some symmetry into at the two ends of the compound, we will see how it will come. The number of stereoisomers which you can generate, which you will have, comes less than the maximum possible. So it just gives you the limit of the number of stereoisomers. The actual number you have to go through the possibilities of symmetry, and then you can understand the actual number of stereoisomers possible. So for that to being assessed, I have analyzed it in a very fundamental manner. Now you understand. Here 16 possibilities. In the previous slide, you have seen that you have got 16 possibilities. Now, what those 16 possibilities are, I have written one by one. So, I will read out one by one and then will assess whether all these possibilities are different possibilities, or are there some possibilities which we are repeating. Again, I will re-emphasize this statement. Out of these 16 possibilities, we have to see, are all these different, or we are taking the same possibility more than once. Then obviously the total number will not be 16, because we have to take different stereoisomers. We don't have to repeat the same more than once. Now, the 16 possibilities I have drawn, let us try to understand it very importantly. You can have, now, as you understand, there are four possible points, places where you can generate the stereoisomers. So I will take each case one by one. So the first position can be cis, the two chiral carbons can be R, the last geometrical possibility can be cis. Next, this can be trans, this can remain R, and this can be cis. Similar, now, in a similar manner, if you take this as cis, these two as R, this as trans. This as trans, both remaining R, this is trans. Now, once you see, you have taken all the possibilities of cis and trans, all the possibilities of cis and trans, keeping the two chiral centers with the same configuration R. And once you have done this, you understand, if you take any configuration, you will also have its mirror image. So I have also drawn the mirror image. So all these four possibilities will give rise to four mirror images also. So altogether you have written the eight possibilities. So once you have written, and let me speak about how I have written the possibility of mirror image. Now you see, this is cis. The mirror image of cis will remain cis. However, the mirror image of R will become S. You understand? By taking the mirror image, the configuration of chiral carbon changes. On taking the mirror image, the configuration of chiral carbon changes. The geometrical isomerism does not get affected by taking the mirror image. Cis remains cis and trans remains trans. So here cis remains cis, R becomes S. Here again the R will become S, and here the cis will remain cis. Similarly, I have taken the mirror images of all the four possibilities. And once you have taken all the four possibilities, now you should recognize very important features. And what those features are, let me try and explain it to you. Now, first of all, the very important thing is, these two, if you see, these two are non-superimposable mirror image, because if you try to superimpose these two, the cis will superimpose on cis, this cis will superimpose on this cis, but this S is not going to superimpose on R, and this S is not going to superimpose on R. So these are two non-superimposable mirror images. Similarly, if you take the second possibility, the two are not superimposable on each other. Why? Because these two are R and these two are S. These are never going to superimpose on each other. However, if you take this particular possibility, again you will see the two are non-superimposable. Why? Because these two are not going to superimpose on these two S. But you understand, this one and this one, these two are the same possibility, the same configuration you have written twice. If you do not understand this, just do one thing. You just rotate this configuration by 180 degree. You rotate this by 180 degree. Once you rotate this by 180 degree, you understand, the cis will come here, this trans will come here, and both R will remain R and R. So you understand, these two possibilities are not different. Just you rotate 180 degree, and you will find that these two are identical configuration. So don't take these two as separate stereoisomers, because these two are same. And the same will happen with these two also, because once you rotate this one or the other one by 180-degree, you will see that both are going to superimpose on each other. If you rotate, C will come here, T will come here, C will go there, T will come here, and they are going to replicate on this figure, and SS are going to replicate on these two S. So you should understand, after drawing, you should understand that you should not repeat the things more than once. And once you have done this, you have got that these two are same. Now, coming on to this part, these two particulars, then you will understand that again these two are non-superimposable. The two S are not going to superimpose on two R, and you have not taken any possibility like this before also. So you will treat these two as separate thing. So in this figure, you have come across how many stereoisomers? Let us count, then we will proceed further. Here you have altogether have taken this as the possibility 1. This is the another possibility 2, because these two are mirror images, non-superimposable. This is third possibility. I am taking all different. This is the fourth possibility. I will not count these two because we have already taken the third and fourth. Now, this is the fifth possibility and this is the sixth possibility. So from this column, we have got six stereoisomers. Now, let us try to proceed and write. So, we out of 16 possibilities, the first column shows 8 possibilities. The next 8 possibilities, I have drawn the other column, and this column, let us try to see. Here again, we have taken the two possibilities here, cis trans, geometrical possibilities. The last also, again we have taken the four possibilities. First I have taken two cis, then I have taken two trans. And the middle one, already we have taken 2R and 2S. Now it comes the time of RNS. So now I have taken RNS. And similarly, we as we did in the previous column, we will take the mirror image. So the first I have taken the mirror image. C will give rise to C, S will give rise to R will give rise to S, and C will give rise to C. Once you see these two mirror images, you will immediately recognize that if you take this and put it on this, both are ditto on each other. Cis will match on cis, R will match on R, S will match on S, and C will match on C, because the two mirror images are superimposable. So this is going to be optically inactive, first of all, and second of all, such stereoisomers get a special name called as mesostereoisomers. So what are meso? Meso are basically those stereoisomers which, if you draw a mirror image of, will be superimposable on it, and therefore it is optically inactive. Now, taking the next possibility, again you draw the mirror image and you find that these two possibilities are non-superimposable, so these two are different and both are optically active. Now, coming on to these two possibilities, again these two are the mirror images and non-superimposable, but you don't have to count these two as separate because you have already taken these two possibilities previously unknowingly. How? Let us try to see. This possibility is same as this possibility. You just try to take this and superimpose on this, CRST, CRST. So though these two are identical, you don't have to take it two times. Again, if you take this TRSC, this is also TRSC. Again, these two are identicals, so you don't have to take it twice. Now, the next possibility, TRST, you draw the mirror image and you will immediately found that these two are ditto superimposable on each other. So these two are not different but identical, and therefore this is superimposable on mirror image called as meso and will be optically inactive. Now, from this second column, now let us try to understand how many different stereoisomers we have obtained. Now let us try to count all those. So this is the seventh one. Six we have already counted. Seventh one, these two are same. We will not count it twice. this is eighth one, this is ninth one, and we have taken already, these two are already taken, so we are not going to count it once again. And this is the possibility number 10, and this is the same as this, so won't be counted as two times. So altogether, if you try to count the total number of stereoisomers, the total figure you obtain is 10 and not 12. And out of these 10, you understand, 8 are optically active because 2 you got as meso because their mirror images were superimposable on each other, and these 8 will remain as 4 enantiomeric pairs. How these optically active 8 stereoisomers will be obtained? As 4 pairs of enantiomers. So this is the whole technical analysis we have done about stereoisomers possible. So now let us try to revisit the question. It says that the given structure has got 12 stereoisomers. This is wrong because we have already got the answer. It is not 12 but 10. Now, coming on to the option number C, what does it speaks about? It says that 20% of diastereomers of X are optically inactive. Now, what is the meaning of this statement? It says that you have a compound X. Now, find all the diastereomers of X. Once you have found all the diastereomers of X, 20% of these diastereomers you have found are going to be optically inactive. So before we have calculated the actual percentage of optically inactive diastereomers, let us first find which are the diastereomers of compound X. I have already told you the diastereomers are those stereoisomers which are not mirror image of X and stereoisomers of X. So you have to take all the stereoisomers of X, but it should not be the mirror image of X. And once you have got this particular knowledge, then you should understand. Once if there is a compound X, you draw its mirror image, you will get its mirror image. This these two are enantiomers. These two are enantiomers, and therefore this X dash cannot be diastereomer. This is very important thing. So the X dash, which is the enantiomer, must not be taken as diastereomer. Altogether, you had 10 stereoisomers. For the given structure, altogether you had 10 stereoisomers. Out of 10, one is X itself, and of this you have to tell the total diastereomers of X dash, you don't have to count, so 2 are gone straight away. So out of 10, 2 are gone straight away. So what are the remaining number of stereoisomers? These remaining number of stereoisomers are 8. So this X will have 8 diastereomers which are not the mirror image of X but will be the stereoisomers of X. Therefore, you have got the number of diastereomers of X as 8. Out of these 8, you know that there are 2 meso also, and the rest of the 6 are optically active and will remain as 3 enantiomeric pairs. Now, you know that the mesoisomers are optically inactive. So if you try to calculate the percentage of these stereoisomers which are optically inactive out of the total number of diastereomers, so the percentage is the number of optically inactive, that is 2, divided by total number of diastereomers which are 8, multiplied by 100, and it comes out to be 25%. And if you revisit the question, it says that it is 20%. So this is a wrong figure because we have already calculated it as 25%, not the 20%. Okay, now let us try to see the option number D, and will analyze whether it is correct or not. It says that given structure can generate five different magnitudes of a specific rotation. So what it is trying to say, the compound X has got a structure. Based on structure, it will have stereoisomers. We have already found that it has got 10 stereoisomers. It is saying that out of those 10 stereoisomers, you can have five different magnitude. Mind you, it is asking about magnitude. The sign plus and minus are irrelevant. It will give rise to five different magnitudes of a specific rotation. Now let us try to see whether it is possible or not. Now, you know that there are total 10 stereoisomers. Out of 10, 2 are meso. So remaining 8, you understand, are remaining as 4 enantiomeric pairs, and each enantiomeric pair creates a single magnitude of specific rotation. For an example, if you take one x and x dash as enantiomeric pair, for an example, if it rotates plus 4 degree, specific rotation, the x dash will have specific rotation of minus 4 degree. So magnitude wise, you will have just one magnitude. And since there are four enantiomeric pairs, so altogether you will have just four different magnitudes of a specific rotation. And if you revisit the question, it says that there are five. So five is the wrong answer. The actual number is 4. So this is also a wrong option. So altogether, if you have gone through the four options, at the end of day, you found that just the first option is correct, that it is optically active, and none other than the first is correct about either the structure of eggs or the configuration of eggs. So I hope I have I have made you understand all the basic fundamentals of how to draw the stereoisomers, how to judge the chirality, how to make out the number of diastereomers, and all those very important fundamental details. I hope you must have understood all those very clearly. And similarly, my other videos are also must be understood by all of you. You must be getting the subject out of all those videos. And with the same hope, with the same thought process, we are going to see more videos in future also. Till then, keep watching my videos, keep learning, and take a good care of your health and happiness. Thank you very much.